25 mid-year housing data. This data is actually coming from the National Association of Realtors. They did a mid-year presentation at the Real Estate Forecast Summit. And then also, we are going to use some of Brian Buffini's slides, which are actually coming from the same data that NAR had reported back in middle of July. So today is August the 21st of 2025, and we are pretty much through that summer housing market as we start entering into the fall. We're going to take a look to see how the market is moving. So many of you guys ask me, I'm a realtor and you guys know me kind of around town. So I'm seeing the same news that you're seeing, and we all are playing victim to the clickbait of people that are doing those sensationalism kind of headlines and stories that makes us want to click through and read the story. So you guys are seeing some of the things that I'm seeing. So let's take a look and see what the statistics are telling us. So as we can see here, the existing home sales, we're through the pandemic. So 2023 and 24 were just about dead even as far as the number of units sold. And for 2025, it is forecasted for us to have sales pretty much the same as it has been since 23. So and during the pandemic, we had very low inventory. We had a lot of movement in the market due to interest rates. And so that has steadily kind of declined and remained flat since 23. When we take a look at how many houses are on the market, look at this, guys. We have almost returned to that pre-pandemic number of homes for sale, which is fantastic because now buyers have more choice, right? But we don't want to be in a market where we have 500,000 homes for sale nationally in the market. There just isn't any choice. And then when we throw really low interest rates on there, we have a frenzy. And that's what we experienced in 21 and 22. So we're starting to return back to the normal kind of inventory rates, which means that buyers are having choice. Buyers are able to look at more than just one house. Buyers are not thrown into multiple offer situations. And sellers, you guys are needing to improve condition. And you are also needing to have that price be interesting enough for buyers to come and take a look at your property. So you guys have heard me talk about months supply before. So 6 months is a balanced market. When no other home comes on the market, no other buyer enters the market, no other home gets listed, it takes 6 full months to sell everything on the ground. New construction monthly supply is up, and it's up. It hasn't been this high since June of 22. So there is inventory on the ground, which means that builders have been working hard on developing land, curbing, putting in streets, gutters, all that kind of stuff to get those lots online. So we're seeing more availability in new construction nationally. Now remember, this is national numbers. As far as existing homes, monthly supply nationally, we are right at 4.7. So we have entered into that neutral market, and we have been as low. I remember in Gwinnett County in 21, I looked at that stat and it was under 1 month of standing inventory. And that's why we had, 80 showings and 13 offers on the table for a house. So those days are gone. And now we are coming back into more of a neutral market, a balanced market. Which, when we have a neutral market and a balanced market, this actually ends up increasing our days on market. Nationally, we have 27 days on market it takes to be able to sell a home. Now, in the South, both South Carolina and Georgia, that number is in the 50s to 60 range. So we've got 27 days. And part of the reason why this is that the South is a little lagging behind. It's more of a buyer's market, neutral market right now. Up in the Northeast, that is a hot seller's market. So the days on market is smaller. When we take a look at the median home price, we've got the median home price, which is remaining pretty steady nationally as it was for 23 and 24. So $440,000 is how much we're going to be able to spend to get into that median home price. Again, it throws out the luxury, high-end luxury, throws out the tear down home and gives us a good range as far as what homes are typically selling for nationally in our country. Now, in the South, we're below that. We're just, I want to say we're $100,000 below that, both in Georgia and in South Carolina. So when we take a look here, when we compare the different regions, the South is sitting right at about, right at, I want to say 389, I believe is what it is. So, in order for us to really dive into housing, we've got to take a look at the job gains. We've got to take a look at how the jobs are. In South Carolina, they've done a great job. They've actually increased the number of jobs throughout the state. Georgia has maintained just about neutral. So we've had just a teensy weensy bit of job gain, which remember, we've got to have those good influx of jobs for us to be able to have a strong economy, and that also includes having a strong housing market. So this is a screen that came from Brian Buffini's where he kind of graphically laid everything out. As you can see up in the Northeast, very strong hot market. People in New York are back. And New York is a hot market right now. Same for Connecticut. We've got a buyer's market in Florida. We've got a lot of houses for sale in Florida, and part of that is because the insurance is it's uncomfortable to pay that kind of insurance for housing. And as an agent in Georgia and South Carolina, I've seen a lot of Floridians come and stay in the South. They want to be in an area that they can, go out and have fun throughout the whole entire year, but they just cannot afford the insurance on a structure in Florida. So we've seen a little bit of migration. As you can see, South Carolina is more of a neutral market. And I dialed into the Georgia Association of Realtors numbers and South Carolina. They did a cute little graphic that they do every month. And you'll see that South Carolina is actually a little bit stronger of a housing market than what is presenting in Georgia. And here is that slide. So as you can see over on the left, we've got Georgia. So we have lower pending sales. This is year over year. So comparing to last year at this time, we have an increase of inventory. So we've had a gain in inventory, which is giving buyers more choice and increasing that days on market. Look at the days on market there in Georgia. So 51 days is on average with an average sales price of 365. And then when we go over and we take a look at the stats that came out of the South Carolina Board of Realtors, we're able to see that we've got, again, similar to Georgia, increase in inventory by 23%, but we actually have increased the number of closings for the month of July year over year. So that was interesting to see. Look at the days on market, guys, 68. Taking a little bit longer to sell property. So, what does all this mean? What does it really mean when we talk about data and we talk about housing? So, when we look at the national forecast, the National Association of Realtors does a prediction every year, and they have downgraded that prediction for 25. They knew that 23 and 24 had about 4 million units sold. And so they really thought that it would be an increase because, again, we've had population increases since 95. We haven't sold 4 million homes nationally since 1995, but yet we've had a population increase since 95. And again, affordability seems to be one of the big factors in this. So they have downgraded. So they said that we'll have a 3% increase in existing home sales, 5% increase in new home sales, that we'll have a slight medium home and price increase. And we're actually seeing that in the market. I didn't think we would, but we are. And mortgage rates are going to pretty much remain right below that 7% unless we have some cuts. And again, we're going to still have some job gains. But look at what they've done to 26. They've upgraded the prediction. So they're really thinking that in 26, that we're going to have a very robust housing. I mean, a 14% increase in sales is pretty robust year over year. So we'll see if that comes to fruition. So what everybody is talking about is rates. So our rates are just underneath 7%. We're starting to see mortgage rates begin to decline slightly, but they're still above 6.5% for a 30-year fixed. And so that is why many buyers actually may be sitting on the fence waiting for these rates to come down so that they can actually afford a little bit bigger of a home or a little bit more of a payment, or maybe the house payment is a little bit more comfortable. So the prediction is that there may be two rate cuts, but just because there's a rate cut by the Federal Reserve doesn't necessarily mean it's going to trickle into mortgage. Now, we've heard a lot of political back and forth, and so I'm really thinking that we probably are going to have a decrease in rates in September. So we will see if that prediction comes true. If we end up having rates to 6%, what's going to happen? We're actually going to get more people probably in the housing market, and that is going to include the renters. So they're really thinking that if rates take that 1%, drop, and we're starting to see about a quarter of a point already for the month of August, then we're going to be able to really have about 550,000 home sales for the in the next 12 months. I thought this was really cool to give you kind of like a comparison between 1970 real estate investments and what people had in their home versus 2025. So again, I want you guys to remember that real estate is not just a place where you call home. It's not just a place for you to park your car and go to and from work or to eat supper. It is actually a vehicle to build wealth. And when you look at the slide, you can really see this is a fantastic opportunity. If you haven't entered into the real estate market, it's a great way for you to be able to accumulate wealth. It just is another vehicle outside of other types of investments that you and your family may make. I always have to include this. I'm going to have to go find another one because this is pretty dated. So it goes up to 22. But I want you guys to remember again, this is the difference between a tenant and a owner in wealth. And again, housing is a vehicle in order to build wealth. So instead of paying a landlord, you're actually paying a part of your payment to yourself in equity. So, as always, I wanted to just give a little plug to Living Down South Realty. We are a fantastic brokerage. We have agents both in Georgia and in South Carolina. And look at this slide. We know how to market. And where we market probably the best is really on social media because we have a collaborative sense about ourselves. So, which means that we are really kind of in the business to promote all of the listings that Living Down South has. This is an example of a listing that I actually had last year. Had a consumer, very popular consumer site that I'm on all the time. And as you can see, we've got about 400 views on this particular affordable home. And then look what we have over on social media when we posted it and had the agent show it. We ended up getting quite a bit more traffic. I want to say that's fivefold. So anyway, so if you are looking for a real estate agent, we would love the opportunity to be able to work with you. Again, I am Kristin Joyner. Thank you so much for coming and watching the video.